Live from Peoria, Arizona, you're listening to Breakthrough Thinking, sponsored by the Peoria Chamber of Commerce. This is Peoria Chamber of Commerce Radio Hour. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Dave Isaac, and we have a very, very special guest. We've never had this particular industry on before in our 9 years of broadcasting. However, we have someone from, actually not just someone, but the owner of the Glass Guru, Jeff, of course, Avilas. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes, and I love the name, the Glass Guru. It brings up, I think it brings up a lot of different images when people think of that, and I bet they're not all the same. But when I first saw that, the Glass Guru, I thought of expert. I thought of just way beyond any other competition in the glass industry. I mean, guru to me is the ultimate of someone who knows beyond wisdom. And that is you, Mr. Jeff. So congratulations on this business.
Why, thank you.
And we're going to talk about that in a second. What is the Glass Guru? And let the listening audience try to visualize what that might mean to them, and we'll see if it matches up what it actually means. But let's start in the beginning. Of course, it does have to do with windows and doors, so we'll do a little teaser right now, primarily residential, so people are now starting to visualize a little differently perhaps. But I have a question. What was the passion to get into this industry that you had?
Well, I had this passion for a little bit in the window and door industry. I've been in this industry for about 17 years. And in that 17 years working for a large window manufacturer, I found that we had a common warranty issue, and that was foggy windows. And when those foggy windows are presented, you only have a couple of options that are known out there, and that is, one, you can replace the glass, or you would have to supply a new window.
Now let's talk about, before you go on, describe what a foggy window is. I think everyone can imagine what it is. But it's originally a clear glass, right, that turns foggy because of certain water spots and so on?
Yeah, so it's not manufactured in the unit. It actually is a condition that every dual-pane window is going to have, no matter the brand. And I know there's a lot of large name brands out there, but it really does not matter the brand. What it has to do with is through the life of that window, it'll expand and contract. Especially here in Arizona, we've got the coldest, we've got some pretty cold winters, not the coldest winters, but we've got really cold winters, and we've got obviously what we're known for, our summers. And when you have a 100-degree temperature change in one season, that replacement window is definitely going to receive a huge amount of expansion and contraction. So to fast forward that, when that happens on a repeated basis, the seals in that window is going to be stretched, and when they are, there will be voids that will be created. Now, when we have monsoon season and when rain comes in the valley, that is when moisture and our high humidity levels start creeping up, and that is where that moisture will then find its way in between the panes, and it'll get stuck in there, and then that's when you have the foggy windows.
So, and you can't wipe it down, and I'm visualizing right now like showers. Is that where it's most common?
Yes, sir. You just it'll be like a shower. That is the early stages. I like to see that when it's in that stage, but most people don't realize it. We simply don't utilize our windows, I would assume, as much as we should in other areas of the country, just because we are in Arizona. It's dusty. Yeah. Most of the time I do see it when there's so much calcium buildup in between the panes that it's actually somewhat of an obscurity. You'll have like a milky white looking color in it. That's generally what most Arizonans see. Otherwise, to have it just with droplets in there is what you're going to most commonly see in like the state of Washington and California. But yes, that is where it starts. It starts with droplets in between the panes.
Now let me ask you this. I just bought a new house about a year ago, and I don't know, the shower, it's all glass, right? So completely surrounded by glass. Are they usually all double pane? Can there be a single pane and then you don't have this issue? Or is that something that manufacturers don't do? It's always double pane for a shower.
Manufacturers today are most likely going to do double pane or triple pane.
Okay.
And so that's generally what your options are, and that's hemmed off of the fact that we've got stick to the standards of the Energy Star rating, which is the most stringent.
Okay,
so in order
gotcha.
for window manufacturers to produce to the residential industry, they'll have to meet the Energy Star ratings, and really the only way you'll be able to achieve that is through a dual pane application or a triple pane. So,
But that's mostly on the outside, though, the windows.
it is.
So a shower might have an exception, perhaps?
As far as the shower enclosure will be single pane.
Oh,
However,
okay,
your
yeah.
window will most
Gotcha.
likely remain to be double pane.
Okay.
In a newer home, for sure. You have
Yes.
some older homes out here in the valley that are all single pane.
Okay, that makes sense. So a shower. So let me ask you this then. So you don't do anything with showers then, even though it's glass, or maybe you do.
Well, we do shower enclosures, and
Okay.
we do restoration services to showers, where
Oh,
if
perfect.
someone has an existing shower, we can kind of clean that up, because that's a whole different section as well. Arizona has hard water, so we
That's
deal
right.
with hard water stains, and we recondition that surface of the glass so that you don't have such a long time spending
Right.
trying to clean that up or spend the time cleaning. We actually have a coating that we can coat that with. But in regards to the window, you're right. It's going to be a dual pane window in the shower enclosure area, and that's going to be what's going to be facing your exterior wall.
Okay, gotcha. Now, so this is called the foggy window repair or moisture removal. So if someone calls a competitor and they say, "Oh, you have to replace the window," you could say, "Wait, we can take out the moisture and do the foggy window repair." Is that right?
We do, and we get that very often. We get a lot
And
of
it's
folks.
a big price difference, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
What,
Yeah, it is.
what basically, what do you find as far as the price difference? And then maybe some stories about the reaction of people. Like someone just said it's going to cost thousands of dollars, and then you come in with a price that is quite reasonable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Your average window replacement and glass replacement is going to be in the hundreds. When we do an actual moisture removal process, the foggy window repair, it's actually a fraction of the cost of what would be just to change the glass out.
Wow.
So we're talking about averages anywhere between $75
Oh.
on up to possibly getting up there to $200. But these is, that price is nowhere near what it would be to replace the glass and or replace the window.
So people may be, as we speak, talking to people that don't know about this and paying a lot more right now for windows that they're replacing versus maybe doing the foggy repair.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably someone sitting down right now receiving a full house estimate, wondering how they're going to take a second on the mortgage in order to pay for it.
What would that be? Like a average house, let's say 1,500 square feet, or 2,000.
Your average house will be anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000.
That is a lot of money.
I'd say on average here in Arizona.
And the homeowner, the homeowner's insurance, they don't usually cover that?
They don't. Homeowner insurance, if I believe correctly, I want to say they will take care of the accidents, but this is unfortunately not considered an accident.
Right.
It's just literally a breakdown of the material. One thing I would mention is dual pane windows, the industry where it sits right now and where it has been for the past 10 plus years, is your replacement windows, the shelf life on those are about 20 years. So if you can get over 20 years out of your dual pane windows,
Really?
you're in good shape. However, you would be subject to possibly seeing some moisture build up in between the panes. And unfortunately, here in Arizona, I do see it's sometimes less than 20 years, just simply put because of our extreme temperatures. I mean, it is so hot out here, and
Gotcha.
the lack of humidity just really messes up with these window.
So it
materials.
has to be a certain length of time before you do a foggy window repair, like you're saying, maybe 15 to 20 years or so.
Yeah, that's where we see most of our opportunity to provide this service.
So have you ever had a case where someone either just paid out $8,000 to $10,000 and then found out about you, or they got a quote for that and they found out about you, and what was the reaction?
Generally, they find out about me after they've received the quote, and it's generally through word of mouth, just because our industry in general, including myself, when I first saw this technology, I couldn't believe it. I actually called the owner and says, "Hey, I see that you're offering this foggy window repair. Really, what do you do? I mean, does someone actually call you up and you actually do this work? Because I don't see how this can happen." And it wasn't until I actually physically seen this process myself and had it explained to me is when I bought onto it as well, and I do it myself, and It's a good process. It's actually a lot of people are surprised when they see what we're able to do as opposed to what's generally given out to the public.
So, and when people call you after a quote, and it's 8,000 or so, and your quote would be what, a couple thousand, maybe?
Maybe a couple thousand, a few hundred.
What do they do? It's like they go, man, I just almost killed myself, right?
Most of them are extremely excited. I have, unfortunately, the situations that we see more often than not is going to be your real estate transactions. So people are buying the home or they're selling the home.
Oh.
And that's generally where this conversation comes up. Somebody would be in the home for 10 plus years. Now they're looking to sell. And in the process of selling it, their realtor lets them know what some things need to change in order to get the house prepped for the market. And that's generally when they start opening up the blinds and realizing, oh, I have foggy windows. And then the unfortunate thing is it's as much as I'd love to say that every situation is going to be a good candidate for moisture removal, I will be honest. Unfortunately, most of them are not good candidates because they're left too long of having the repeat process of it being fogged up, dried back up, fogged up, dried back up again.
Oh.
So we do want to catch this stuff early, and when it's caught early, it's definitely cheaper. But what I want to let people know is you definitely don't want to neglect your windows, which I think most of us all do, including myself, until I got in the industry.
Yeah.
When you neglect your windows, don't operate them, lubricate them, or just open up the blinds every once in a while to review and clean your windows.
Sure.
You will come across a situation where this has been going on for years, and now you're stuck with the bill.
Wow. So are you saying then at a certain point you can't do the foggy repair window at a certain point?
Correct. Generally speaking, if it's has moisture in between the panes and it's dried up, and it's had that happen a few times, what will happen is you'll actually have water staining in between the panes that make it very difficult for us to remove that staining. So one thing I pride myself as the owner is I do all my own estimates. So when I go to these homes, I evaluate to find out what would be the percentage of clarity that we're going to offer to our customer. I'd much rather let you know it's going to be an 80% visibility after we're done, and have it come out to be 95%.
Wow, yeah, that's I'm sure they take comfort in that,
and so do I.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't want
happy customers.
Yeah, you don't want expectations of a customer and you're not meeting them.
Sure, absolutely.
That totally makes sense. Now, so that's somewhat a unique feature that you bring to the business and the industry, right?
Absolutely.
And of course the Glass Guru, it's a franchise. Do all of them do this, or is this your unique feature just for your part of your franchise?
The whole franchise system was built around this product. This is what separated them amongst the pack. So I would like to say that all the stores are offering the moisture removal process. If not, they should be.
I would think. I mean, it's definitely something customers would certainly want. There's no question about it. Well, that's something unique. In every industry or business, they should have something unique from a business point of view to distinguish themselves, right, from their competitors. Is there anything else? I mean, this would be enough, but is there anything else that you would consider unique from a business standpoint? Maybe sounds like you're an active owner, that you're out there, you're working it, you're in the trenches. That might be unique, where people love to deal with the owner.
I appreciate that. You described it. That is exactly what I do. So I am the estimator. I am very involved in my business. It's my livelihood. It helps support my family and the passion that I have. The little back history on what I've done is, like I said, I've been in the industry for 17 years, quit corporate America to go on my own with this passion of just making sure that I can control my customer service to my customers. And that's one of the things that I want to say our repeat customers to let us know is they really like our customer service and my involvement. I really take a holistic approach to windows and doors in the fact that we're a glass shop and a window and door replacement dealer, which basically allows you to get a glass quote from me. I can replace your windows or your doors, and we're not separating that out. And I can do that by firsthand just looking at it, and with my experience, I can kind of steer you the right direction of what options would be best for your needs. And that's generally what I ask from all my customers, what their needs are.
It's interesting. You said a holistic approach, thus the glass guru. I mean, guru, it always reminds me as well as a holistic approach to life, to business, to whatever you're doing. So it is definitely a catchy name and probably the perfect name, at least for your franchise, because that holistic approach is important. Now, how would you break that down, the holistic approach? Have you ever thought about that when you mention holistic? What does that mean to you and what you're trying to convey to your customers?
Absolutely. So we've kind of separated our business model in 3 different segments that would kind of promote this holistic approach. We have services that are restoration, and the restoration services are areas that we're able to include the foggy window repair, scratch removal, and hard water stain removal. And those are areas in our industry that traditionally recall, that's recalling the glass and replacing the glass completely or the product. In this aspect, we're able to actually restore it. And then we also have a repair section of the business where we could actually repair the windows and doors, locks, mechanisms, replace the glass, some of those items. And then for our third segment, we replace. So we can replace the whole complete window, the complete door, the complete section of that window. And that's kind of, I think, where we're able to take that a holistic approach. We're able to basically offer things that are all the way from environmental friendly, to all the way down to your standard replacement. And the nice thing is I'm able to provide the customers an A to Z option in our industry.
Which is very, very good for customers. There's no question. Now, that business model, that makes sense to me. That's sort of like what you do. How about if we break it down even further, and how do you do what you do? Now, I could tell, even though I just met you today, a couple things, but have you ever thought of that particular question? How do you do what you do? It makes a difference. And I'll give you an example. A waitress or server in a restaurant, what do? Well, they take an order. They will bring it back, and hopefully it's cooked right. And that's what they do. But what distinguishes a great server from a really bad server? That's the how.
Absolutely.
So how do you think you look at that about yourself? If not, I can give you some observations.
Absolutely. I would say our how is definitely different in the fact that when you call my store, you'll definitely be greeted by my office manager, who's a delight over the phone. That's one of the things I tell her all to do, and she does very well. She's always got a smile on her face. So you will definitely be greeted by one of my staff members. Secondly, we actually have a system in place where we'll send you email reminders on the appointment that we set over the phone. Most of our customers can be in transit. They're on the mobile device. They don't necessarily have their calendar out, but they do know they could be open for next week. We send an appointment reminder, just letting them know about what that time frame is going to be. I would have to say the single best thing that we're able to accomplish, which is very hard and difficult on our end, but our customers love it, is we give 1-hour time frames. And so what I mean by that is when we say we're going to be there at 9, we will be there at 9, or we will be calling you otherwise ahead of time and letting you know if we are running behind. However, we do give you a 9 o'clock appointment, and I do that because I'm on the other end as well. When I call to get my internet fixed or my appliance done, no more than everybody else, I do not like to have the 8 to 12 time frame and then have the guy show up at 11:59. It's like, really? How much could I have done? It drives
me nuts too. I agree with you. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They can't plan it. These big companies, I guess. And I guess maybe some things are unexpected, perhaps, but you're right. That kills like a half a day and sometimes a whole day.
Sure. So we give that 9 o'clock appointment.
How do you do that, though?
It's difficult. It's a challenge, but I have set my business up so that we can succeed in that. And it's challenging for me because not only do you get a 9 o'clock appointment for me as the estimator, which I do have to control my appointments, and when we have delays or better yet, when people see exactly how much I can do, I may have showed up at their home just to look at a piece of glass, but I end up with a shower enclosure quote, a whole window order quote, and so that can actually make my timing. Yeah, absolutely. So we do our best to stay ahead of that curve, and if I know that I'm going to be late to an appointment, I will be sure to give that courtesy call and let them know, look, you know what, I may not be able to get there at 9, It looks like I'm slotted to get there at 9:15, and most of my clients are still thrilled the fact that I'm not hanging out and taking a portion of their day from 9 to 12 or 9 to 1 or anything like that.
So you're telling them it could be a 1 hour time frame, meaning I'll be there at 9, but I could call you, and it could be as late as 10, but I will call you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. I wouldn't mind that at all. How do you handle customers, though, who keep you there longer? Now, it could be because they didn't realize there's a lot more, or you found a lot more, or or someone just chatting it up. And how do you leave? How do you leave that situation? Because you don't want to appear rude at all. But what's your technique on that?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. One of the things I give all my customers is when I first greet them, I'll hand them what I call a rack card. It's a card that offers and shows you all the different services and products that we offer. I give them that. At the same token, I am addressing what I was originally out to do. So, for example, for the listeners to visualize this, if I was going out there to do a foggy window repair estimate, I would quickly get to that window and speak to that foggy window repair. At the same time, I've got my customer, they're looking at the other products and services that we offer, and I do that simply so that they can actually look and both of us are doing something at the same time.
Yeah.
So they're looking,
Makes
formulating
sense.
questions that they may have or curiosity of something that they've read. Meanwhile, I'm able to still measure and get what we need to get done. But yeah, you're right. Some of those are very difficult. I've got some customers that love to learn more about what we do and how I've been able to get where I'm at. And for those, I just politely let them know that I do have a full schedule, and I'll be more than happy to talk more about what it is that they're more interested in at a different opportunity. But the nice thing is in the very beginning of my start at my business, that was very difficult. I've kind of managed that now where I can sense where that's going, and I can generally give ballpark numbers on some of those other items to answer most of my customers' inquiries and questions on that. So I've been able to manage that. Every once in a while I'll get thrown off where it's a simple window adjustment, and it turns out to be a whole slew of 13 different items.
Yeah, I see that in when we do tax returns. They say, oh, it's an easy return, and then next thing we know, it's like 5 times a lot more things they, didn't mention, not intentionally, but it just they either forgot or something. So that's always a little bit of a challenge. There's no doubt about it. But this is, the difference between what and how, because customer rapport is so critical. I mean, and I'm sure you do very well at that, getting rapport with the customer, because, like I said, people buy from people they like. And how do you handle that?
Yeah, I get a lot of customers that they just, you're right, they like me for who I am and what I'm about. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. So, and I think that could be visually seen, and most of them do enjoy that. I let my customers know and feel that I am going to work the same, if not harder, for that money that they're providing me for the service I'm rendering. I want them to know that I don't take it lightly. I've got to make a paycheck, and I've got to earn money as well, just as much as they do. So
Sure.
it's nothing I take for granted, and if anything, I want to go above and beyond what they expected. And we have little things that help with that. I call them customer touch points, and those are little things that I offer my customers, and they enjoy, that allow that experience to be memorable. I've had a wise man once tell me that it's easy to get someone to come into your organization and buy from you once, but to have a true customer is when they buy a second time and or tell their family and friends about you. And that's what I've focused on and strive for. Just wow my customers and let them remember how they felt when my employees were in contact with them or in their presence performing the work.
Now, has anyone ever aggravated you like they're over-negotiating? Or do you get people trying to negotiate certain, probably set prices that you have, I'm suspecting. But does that happen?
Sure. It
how
does.
do you handle that?
I don't know how we can avoid that, but
I'm sure it happens.
It doesn't happen as often as I assumed. It actually happens here and there. Generally, I let my customers know, there's a service that I provide and there's a commitment that I make. And unfortunately, there's a price for that, and there's a price that I've been able to run my business so that I can stay in business. And unfortunately, having been in the industry, sometimes when it comes only to price, it may not be my job. Unfortunately, it may not be my job, and typically at the end of the day, it's probably not my customer. A lot of customers who are just simply going for the price only. I think we all know where to value and spend our money, and where we know that we need it done right. And as a licensed bonded contractor, unfortunately, I have to hold myself to a standard that I have to provide a warranty. And if I cannot provide a warranty to something, I generally won't do it. And because I have to provide a warranty on everything that we do, I want to make sure that we can do it right and not have to worry about what's the next phone call. I don't like callbacks. And so we want to make sure that we inconvenience our customers as least as possible.
Now, you mentioned you're a contractor?
We are.
How does that, what type of, is there a thing called window and door contractor?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
It's a glazing license, so we do hold
glazing, you said?
Yeah, it's a glazing license.
What is a glazing license?
Well, it allows you to be licensed, replace windows and doors.
Nice.
Glass products on the exterior of the home.
That's very cool. You get developers calling you sometimes? Home builders?
We do occasionally.
Yeah.
However, I gravitate towards residential. I'm a people person, and so I enjoy hearing people's story, where they've come from, how they've gotten where they've gotten, and it's fun to look at a project and see someone who's about ready to do a remodel, and or someone who's just simply looking for an answer, and someone to just give them what options are available. I do gravitate towards residential. It's more interactive. And it's not so cookie cutter. It seems to me we gotta bring some talent out and actually perform, and it's a present. Each time I walk into someone's house, I never know what they're going to ask me to do, and so I like that thrill of being able to come up with the answers, and not only come up with them, but show them what other options that maybe they had no idea existed.
That's really cool. Now, what's popping in my mind right now is being in, doing residential. You get a whole assortment of people, from single dads to single moms to married couples to young couples to old couples. Whatever you can think of, you probably, they're calling you. Is there one group out there that you that you notice there's a difference in terms of how they look at the price, for example, versus service? Or is there anything like that? Is there a group? Maybe the older, the younger, the single, I guess it depends on their financial condition partly. But do you ever notice anything about the demographics, the particular age group or gender or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have to say the Gen X, Y, and my generation, we generally don't value and I'm generalizing here, but we generally a little bit more price driven. We like to focus our money more on other things, other items, high ticket items that maybe we can get instant gratification. One thing I realized being on my own is there's really no love in glass. I mean, it's like a necessity, Every once in a while I feel like I'm the tow truck driver. You only call me when you have to, and so. I would have to say, as far as the younger generation, it's definitely price driven, which I can understand because I'm that way as well. However, having been in the trades, I do value customer service and whatnot. And in the older generations, I tend to feel a little bit more that that's our place. They have, they kind of been around longer, so they know what good customer service is. They know what a genuine person is that's standing in front of them. They know if someone's able to educate them that goes far with them, and they just want it done. They don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I should have went with this person, or I should have went with that person. Generally when I sit down with them, they're just, I'm glad you showed up. But the biggest thing that I get from the older generation is you're punctual. You showed up on time.
Oh,
I mean, that is
excellent.
by far the biggest compliment that I get.
Important.
And they appreciate that because, most of them are retired, but they have schedules and they have a life as well.
Sure.
And so,
The baby boomers.
that's right. They need to have that time spent with their friends and family, and so that is generally the generation that I feel just absolutely loves us. We get a lot of repeat business from them. My generation or the younger generations are generally word of mouth through them is generally through my Facebook and Instagram feeds. You know, I generate a lot from Facebook on my younger generation, and that's just unfortunately my generation. We're not looking out to get the best glass. We're just if the glass breaks, that's when the phone call's made.
Yeah,
you know the
price and let's get it done.
Older generation wants convenience. You know, which rightfully so.
That's interesting.
They deserve it.
Good observations. That's really very, very interesting from a business standpoint. Now, let's go over the full array of services. We've been talking a lot about glass, but you do way more than that. There's doors, windows, I mean, the whole gamut of services. So maybe run through that pretty quick for the listeners.
Some of the things that most people don't realize that the Glass Guru does is we take care of your replacement windows and doors. Now, it would be an entry door, a back patio door, both single-in, French door swinging. We also take care of security doors. So we have a kind of a unique security door option that removes the bars. Typically, we're looking at bars. We're looking at a big lizard in front of our in front of our viewpoint, whatnot. We're able to offer a security door that is kind of the one that doesn't have any bars in it whatsoever. We offer tabletop glass. So I mean, if you've got a piece of furniture in your home that you'd like to preserve and just kind of be able to use on a daily basis, but not watch the surface of it get destroyed, we offer that covering as well. We do stock rounds and stock square tabletops.
So you do okay.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right.
That's interesting.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that we offer as well is we do mirror frames. So if you have an existing mirror on your wall and you're not committed to replacing it, or maybe it's just replacing it's just not in your budget, but you'd like to get it decorative, decorate it, make it harmonize with maybe some of the other remodeling you've done in the home, we can actually frame that mirror without actually taking it off the wall. So that's a unique service that we offer.
That's really cool. You know a lot of stuff. I would never have had any idea. Now, when I bought this house, it was a new house a year ago. It's a big, heavy door with a window and bars in the middle where you can open it up.
Yeah, that's nice.
I don't know if that's considered a security door, but it's really heavy. Are you talking about like the little security where you can leave your front door open and you have the security door like a screen where you can see through it?
Yes, yeah.
Those are cool
So this
deals.
one, you'd be able to see through it. However, you still have the security.
That they can't get in.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see who's there.
Yep.
That's got to be pretty common, right, out here? Don't you think a lot of people like that?
It is. It is a style, though, that is not very common. It's something that is still fairly new. And so most people don't understand it until I actually get to show them the product or show them what it's made out of.
Yeah, especially in the winter, you can keep it open, a little breeze perhaps, right?
Absolutely.
And, yeah, I've known people that have gotten that. What would the cost be on something like that, or what's the range?
It's relative to your store-bought. Now, it's very deceiving because you can get a store-bought security door. It's kind of a mix-and-match kit. So a lot of times things start with a appealing dollar amount of maybe anywhere between $300 to $400. But at the end of the day, after you get all your accessories, you get your seals, you get the pack of screws, and you get your seal extension, you get your lock hardware.
And the instructions.
And the instructions. and oh, man, I don't know how many times I seen some of these listeners might be laughing. I don't know how many times I've walked into a home and you've got that 6-inch gap at the bottom of your security door.
Oh.
Where nobody really looked at that, never thought of, like, how do I fill that?
Wow.
And so those are all things that have to be accounted for when you're kind of doing it yourself, or if you've got somebody you've matched up with that's doing it for you. We get rid of all that, and we take care of all of that. That's all inclusive in our pricing. And generally speaking, on a standard front door, we're price competitive. We're about $1,200-$1,300 starting.
Sounds pretty good.
And that includes a non-traditional lock, which would be a multi-locking system. So our multi-locking system on our security doors has a hook at the top, has a hook at the bottom, and then a deadbolt in the middle. So there's actually 3 points of contact as opposed to someone just trying to grab the original lock set that we've all seen out there.
Wow, that is good. Yeah, I'm always a fan of those security doors. I always like those, and I think that's really, really cool. Of course, you hear on TV these days, what is it called? The camera at the front door, and you could talk to people.
Those are getting popular.
Yeah, but that's a whole different thing because I think the best value of the security door is letting the breeze come in.
Absolutely.
I would think, and then you could see through it. So it's a whole different thing between a security camera, and being able to scare people away by sounding the alarm. You see it on TV all the time.
It's
a different deal.
It's a great deterrent. That's what I try to explain to my customers is, unfortunately, nice people use locks. If somebody really wants in your home, they will get in some shape or form. But it's a very good deterrent. I mean, if someone's got to make more noise to get in your home, they're most likely going to go somewhere where they can get in and get out.
Yeah, no question about it. I think you're absolutely correct. So as the owner, I suspect, I'm just guessing, do you do all the training with your employees on a technical basis, on a customer service end of it, or do you have trainers come out?
I do that too.
Wow, you do everything.
One of the
man.
One of the many hats. One of the things that comes easy for me is, having worked in corporate America and the window and door industry, one of the things I was able to receive in the corporate America world is, in our industry, much like others, we have associations that are governing bodies in the industry. And in those governing bodies, they typically have industry-specific certifications. And one of the things I hold is I am the Installation Master's instructor, that I hold a certificate here for Arizona where I actually train other installers, whether they work for me or work for my competitor. It doesn't really matter because at this point it's an industry-specific training. And so with that, all those classes that I've taught, I've been able to actually effectively train people with multiple different backgrounds and different experience levels. And so with that, I've kind of been able to hold on to that accreditation. I still teach that, and I'm able to kind of use that platform to train my folks as well.
I would think that's a great PR right there, because if they know you're training other installers, why not go to the master, who I call the guru, right? I mean, why not go to the best, right? That's my opinion.
Well,
I mean, you got a choice, right? You're paying maybe, similar or maybe higher with other people, but why, if you have a choice, go to the best. That's how I figure it.
Yeah, it is, generally speaking, it's the price versus cost situation, right? You pay the price one time up front, get it all done correctly, or you spend the time on spending the cost of it years down the road when there's nothing but problems and issues and leaking and all that good stuff. It's
not good.
It's definitely, it's two different paths, and everybody kind of has their own way of how they approach that for how they get stuff done. That's
right. And now you started about 3 years ago, right? 2014 or so.
Yeah.
And was this your first business venture out of corporate America?
This is my first business adventure this scalable size. I've done some out of the garage stuff, as far as those little things, but nothing compares to this.
So this was full on commitment in business. Get the phones going. Any surprises?
Oh, I think the whole thing was a surprise, actually.
Well, going in business is, it is. You're going to find. Yeah, I mean, for years, people in business will find surprises. You never stop learning. And I always think that's why you need a good team, too, because you're only as, there's so many specialties. I mean, attorneys, you need attorneys, insurance guys, CPAs, bankers, but you're only as good as their highest level of competence.
Yeah.
And that's the trick, in my opinion, from being in business over 30 years, is how do you find, and it's easier maybe for me to find qualified attorneys being a CPA and insurance and bankers. I'll get a feel, they know what they're doing or they don't. But the general business guy without my background won't know that. They'll know, then that guy's a nice guy. But how do you know technically how good they are? And that's the key in business. You're only as good as their level of competence, and if they're not the highest level, well, what are you missing?
Sure.
And that's the scary part.
Oh, it is.
What's the comments? What are your comments on that?
When I first started, I did want to stay in the industry as far as windows and doors because that's what I knew most about.
Sense.
So I want to keep, I'm to stick with the motto of the the big fish, small pond kind of approach. However, running the business is just it wasn't what I thought it was. However, very much surprising. We've so this franchise system actually has been in franchising for 10 plus years. And so I started this in Peoria, a little, like you mentioned, a little less than 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that year, we actually broke the franchise record out of all their existing franchises, which at the time was about 80 plus.
Oh, wow.
And so I say that now just because, as a business owner, it's very hard to appreciate your own efforts until you see it manifested or once you're out of the realm of the day in, day out situations. But, I've got to be honest. We've got really good customers. They love us. They refer people to us. And, for that, I would say it keeps me going at night and it keeps me wanting to plug along. We've, like I mentioned to you a little earlier when we first sat down, we've been able to be successful enough to actually expand here in the West Valley and open up our other store, which is going to be in Goodyear coming soon.
Nice.
So right now we're operating that territory right now out of our Peoria store, but soon we're looking to have our store in Goodyear, and so it's definitely it wasn't the ride I was thinking. It was there was things that I thought was going to be easy. And they've proven to be hard, and there's some things that I thought were going to be very challenging and difficult. Actually, turned out to not be as bad.
That's interesting, yeah. Well, that's cool. You're expanding like that, and of course, that's always you got to think twice before you do that. But I'm sure you thought it out. Now, I just thought of something. Emergency stuff. Is there ever an emergency? Someone calls you and goes, "Hey, one of the neighbor kids just hit a baseball through my." Big window. Now it's all shattered and people could come in. Is that something you take care of?
It is. One of the things that we offer is a 24-hour board up. So if you happen to be, and unfortunately, this is the only part that I do hate about what we're involved in because unfortunately we do come across, crime scenes and where, things have happened and unfortunately they've happened in a residential home. We do 24-hour board ups. We also take care of, good old Jimmy hit that baseball and hit the window. One thing I would tell the listeners, though, and this is one of the nice things that I pride myself on just because as much as it's a service that we offer, I just want to make sure that service merits what the situation is a lot of people in general are, including myself and my family, we're very standoffish when it comes to glass. And so generally when that glass breaks, if it's a dual pane window and only one pane broke, it is something that you want to get done sooner than later. However, it's not it's not drop everything and have to pay for a board up fee in order for someone like myself or one of my employees to come out and actually board it up, unless it actually that object went through both panes. If it went through both panes, then I can understand that being a board up.
But one,
yeah,
if
it's one pane that's broken and the other one's intact, I would say, what, give us a call, let us know what's going on. We'll take care of that during business hours, save you some money. Either way, there's a lead time anyways on replacing dual pane windows and glass. It has a fabrication process in that, so it's not something where someone can just replace that the exact same day.
So you have an off-hours phone number, I suspect.
We do, yeah. I've got that through a via text message to myself, and or I have an answering service that will
get a lot of
get ahold
calls.
of us. We don't. I don't promote that too heavily. I don't do too much insurance work, so I generally specialized in the residential person who's just simply doesn't have those kind of connections and are just kind of dialing down the internet trying to look for someone to help.
Yeah, I got you. So I think, but that's sort of a cool service. I guess you're not going to see it all the time, but it is there in case people need it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's not a bad deal. But it's probably maybe a special fee or something because it is off hours.
It is, yeah. So we don't charge nowhere near what some of our competition does, but we do charge a fee. And you know what, to be honest with that fee for the most part goes to my employee. That's kind of the get out of bed inconvenience fee to my employee. So
Sure.
it ends up actually turning into a bonus for them.
Oh.
And that is an opportunity for me to be able to provide the service, but yet
Yeah,
make sure that the
got it.
employee's taken care of, that they'll actually answer the phone when I call them at 2 a.m.
Oh, man. That's rough. But
yeah.
I guess lucky it probably doesn't happen all that often. So
It does, and when it does, we're definitely sensitive to those situations, because unfortunately, when it's crime driven, generally it's not uncommon for that person to be pretty distraught,
right.
emotional, and we try to be sensitive to that. Luckily for me, I do get that call, so if I feel like it's a situation that I just need to go to myself, I'll take the liberty to just go ahead and take care of it and do it and make sure it's sensitive and we're actually doing what we need to be doing and not necessarily what we want to just assume it's going to happen.
And you also do in-glass pet doors.
Yes, we do.
A lot of people love that stuff.
You know what? It's amazing how many people don't know about it, but yet the customers that actually we do that for absolutely love it.
I can imagine.
It's a way better option than what I call the starter kit with the insert. And I'm not gonna, I don't want to beat people up too much about that, just because as pet owner myself, you're looking for the happy medium of how do I not continue to open and close this sliding glass door to let my little furry friend out without having to get up and keep pausing my show.
So what do you guys do?
So what we do is, so we retire that insert. So we remove that insert, and by removing that insert, we then restructure that pet door. Not the one that's existing, but we actually create another one. And I've got a vendor who specializes in this kind of a pet door situation. And what we'd do is I would measure your existing sliding glass door glass. I will get it refabricated with a notch inside of it, which is typically going to be in the lower corner on the lock side. That's generally where your pets will go to get in and out. And what we do is I refabricate that to have the size of notch sized for your pet. So each one of my pet doors are sized for your breed.
Oh.
And so the nice thing about that is if you've got an older dog that just can't hunch over, it's not good. We size the pet door accordingly so that doesn't have to take place.
That's awesome.
But we get that. That gets put into the actual existing sliding glass door, and what that gives you is your energy efficiency back, your functionality back.
Gotcha.
Of how that door was originally engineered and manufactured, so that you're not, letting that AC or that heater go all the way outside, and you're not cooling or heating Arizona.
That's right.
Our in-glass pet doors come with a standard dual flap. And so what that does is that allows for when we have situations, midsummer when it's 117 outside and you're looking at, however 72 to 80 degrees inside, that temperature change will allow for a pretty good sizable draft. And so with that dual flap, you're able to keep that inside, so you're not letting AC go outside.
That is really interesting. Boy, this time flew by quick, didn't it?
It did.
This is really cool stuff. And why don't you give some contact information, how people can get in touch with you, a website, anything you want?
Absolutely. Easiest way to get a hold of us is you can go to theglassguru.com, and that's, I'm going to say it just because I've always get asked. It's GURU. And you can also reach us at our email address is peoria, spelt like the city, at theglassguru.com. Or you can reach us on our phone, 602-753-0810, in which my friendly staff will be there to pick up the phone.
That is so cool. Boy, I learned a lot today, not just about the industry, but your particular style, the how to do what you do, which I thought was very interesting and certainly what makes you, I think, very successful. I think that your customers really must enjoy working with you. Jeff Avilas, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on again, and I think this is really great for people to know. And I wish you good luck on the new expansion.
Oh, I thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And this is Breakthrough Thinking Broadcasting Network, sponsored by Peoria Chamber of Commerce. We'll see everyone next month.